Have you been dreaming of speaking another language? I mean, opening your mouth and fluently speaking, not mumbling, not fiddling about, not searching for words, but actually communicating. Well, if you're still behind the ball on learning a language, and many people are, in this video you'll discover 15 reasons why you should start learning a new language today. And if you already know one, add another one. So no more delays. Learning a language is not just about learning to communicate better, but it could well save the life of your brain. Hi, I'm Anthony Metivier, creator of the Magnetic Memory Method, and this video is all about learning a language and to exercise your brain, amongst other things. And if you ever feel like your mind has gone a bit soft, chances are that it has, and it may be feeling a little bit doughy. And the good news is that learning a language is one of the best long-term workouts that you can get. Working with new words and grammar rules gets multiple areas of the brain working together. And because you get to think familiar thoughts from a completely new angle, your perspective stretches more profoundly than looking at an M.C. Escher painting ever will. But do be sure to look at M.C. Escher paintings because they're fascinating and good for helping you develop memory palaces. But you know, learning a language is about developing discipline. It's fun, but it requires consistency of exposure. And luckily, you can do this very easily with the internet these days. But you do have to click over to the right websites and invest your time optimally. So there's lots of sites out there that just really don't help you capture what I call the big five of language learning. And that is memorizing, reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And if you get all of those things together, you're going to learn a language much more faster and get all of that rich brain exercise in one blow. So the idea is that you have the first half hour of your day linked to your language learning exercises. So you want to have these five elements together so you can develop the consistency of discipline and the discipline of consistency together. And here's the big tip: do it before you even switch on your computer. There's so many things that can get in the way and disrupt this, but if you can get your language learning done in the first 15 to 30 minutes of any day, every day, then you're going to find that you learn a language very, very quickly. So make language learning part of your morning ritual. And if you're interested in more about that, I have a link to some of this material in the description below. The next point is that language study deepens your appreciation and your understanding of your mother tongue. And you know, this is weird, but you rarely ponder it, and yet it's in front of your eyes and in your mind all day long. It sits in your brain. It even dominates your dreams. Your mother tongue is that prevalent. But just imagine understanding the ins and outs of your mother tongue at a higher level. The benefits are so wide-reaching, and knowledge of how and why we speak, it enriches your life in so many ways. Your mother tongue is also, if you think about it, really funny and amusing because, you know, we say so many weird things, and you never get this level of amusement while walking down the street than in any other way when you're thinking about a new language you're learning and you're thinking about how it relates to the other language. So really pay attention to the way that you speak. It's a great, great asset that you have, and it becomes an even greater asset when you're learning a new language for brain exercise. And it's not just about brain exercise. The next point is that learning a language exercises the muscles in your mouth and in your ears. And there's so many little benefits that you get from getting these in motion and beginning to understand the terrain of your palate and the back of your teeth, the top teeth and the bottom teeth. This is all places you get to explore that are totally untapped if you're not learning a new language. And you get all these new auditory abilities as well, variations in sound, and your attentiveness to detail improves. And it's really like becoming a musician. So you get to bloom in so many different ways at the level of sound, both in receiving sound and producing sound. The next point is that your cultural understanding really deepens. Now, if you want to know why some people tick the way they do and learn about their culture from the inside out instead of trying to see it from the outside in, whether it's history, cinema, politics, literature, theater, music, whatever, the ability to study and experience these aspects of a culture is really, really inspiring, and it will drive you through some of the challenges that language learning presents. And even if it's just reading the plaques of a language while you're at a tourist location in a new country, this is a huge benefit, and it really, really gets you deeper into the culture than just being some tourist who doesn't understand at all. Another point why learning a language is good for your brain is that you have to deal with numbers differently and different logical and conceptual things, and this really challenges your abilities. So learning how to count and perform operations in math in French is very different than it is in German and English. And you know, different languages, they express things like time very differently and in unique ways that can puzzle you and really challenge you, and you push through and you get just so delighted to think backwards and sideways and upside down down, and in some ways it's just completely opposite to your norms, and you get these little wins, and it's just one of the highest forms of mental triumph that you can experience, and it's all good for your brain. Another point is that learning languages boost your self-esteem and your confidence, and the great thing about the long game of learning languages, because it is kind of a long game, is a life thing. I mean, get into it and just stick with it. These small achievements, they build up, and you feel proud of yourself again and again and again, and with greater and greater intensity as your accomplishments grow. This is a huge thing. Another thing, we talked about the ears and the mouth, but what about the eyes? I mean, you've seen the word baker a million times, right? But have you seen baker with an umlaut over the A? It's like weird, and then you got to think about it, and your eyes start to train to see things differently. And that's just an example from German, but I'm doing Chinese now, and you start to just notice things so differently, so beautifully, and you make connections between languages. But it takes training, and you have this like Homer Simpson moment all the time when you figure out these similarities that have been there all along, but it just pops, and it's because your eyes are being trained, right? These new character sets, new features of how letters are used that may be very familiar, it just gets your brain working, and once you've got your foot in the door, you grow by leaps and bounds, and you get all these opportunities to explore deeper and deeper dimensions of just the presentation of language as a visual structure. And one or more language, as another point, really widens your job prospects, which is good for your brain as well, right? Like the jobs that you're dreaming of, they might not require proficiency in another language, but wouldn't it be cool if you could waltz in there and offer it, right? You position yourself better, and you even open the company that you work for up to new opportunities because they've hired you, right? This is huge. And if you're a freelancer, your pool of possibilities is also broader, as is your potential for networking, and these are all good things for your brain, for your life, for everything. Another great benefit is that you get new friends, and you get a lot of them. So it's not that the people who speak your mother tongue are bad or boring or anything like that, but you're a curious person, you have multiple interests, and you can get out of the hamster wheel of the same by going out and meeting new people who come from a different culture, and this is just absolutely so profound for your brain and just for your life. It just brings everything into a much huger circle, and then you get to bring that stuff to your existing friendships and breathe new life into everything. And then, of course, you can share what's in your existing friendships in your new language with the new people who haven't had that benefit. Now, the other thing here is location. So in real estate, they always say location, location, location. Well, as you make new friends through the internet with language speakers of other languages, you can actually go and visit them and then speak to all the people in that country in the language that you've been learning. You ask about the temperature, order water, whatever it is. You get to actually do it in locations that you might not otherwise visit. Now, here's an odd tip for you. Language learning actually slows you down. So we are in this sped up world. Everything's boom, 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 bang, bang, bang. Even this video is going a bit fast probably. But when you learn a language, you learn how to abandon the speed of things and really get yourself down to some fundamentals. Spend time with things and gain traction with them. Now, this relates to discipline, but it's also consistency and clarity and craftsmanship, getting things right. That's a huge benefit for your brain. It's also about learning how to learn. So learning languages has these strategies that you can apply to learning anything. So as you're learning a language, you're learning how to learn anything. And more importantly, you're going to be finding that you naturally take those learning strategies to other things that you want to learn. So for example, if you don't know how to assess a particular topic, you'll learn how to assess it much, much better, and you'll find the gaps in what you don't know, because as a language learner, you're quite used to finding the gaps in vocabulary that you don't know, or phrases that you don't know, or grammar rules. The next point is that you get to play a game of memory, and that is so good for your brain. You know this, right? Retention and recall advance you through so many levels. Even in your mother tongue, you can plateau if you're studying your memory and using your memory, but by learning a language, you break those plateaus. And so here's a little tip on how to learn and memorize the language of the vocabulary of any language and take that to phrases. You really, really want to get away from rote learning. You want to use your memory, and that's the best way to get your brain involved and get all this brain exercise that we're talking about. The ancient art of memory, mnemonics, the powerful techniques that you need for learning another language. It starts with the memory palace. So the memory palace is one of the most effective techniques for learning a language because you can group related words together and you can put them along a journey and revisit them very, very easily. So a memory palace, in case you don't know, is an imaginary replica of a place you know, like a building, a home, a school, a workplace, somewhere you've ideally been. So imagine you're bedroom and the journey from your bedroom to the kitchen, you're already starting to create a memory palace just by doing that. But to do it right, draw out a floor plan of the building that you've chosen. It doesn't have to be perfect, just recognizable enough for you to recognize a distinct route. And there's a couple of things that you want to think about. You're choosing stations, magnetic stations I like to call them, along the route, and try to pick maybe 10. So the 4 corners of your bedroom, there's 4 already. Then maybe in the hallway you've got a bookshelf, there's the 5th one. Do that until you have 10 stations. Then get together 10 vocabulary words that you want to memorize. Put them in any order if you like. I like to alphabetize the words. It really, really helps with recall because the alphabet is a natural order that we already know. And then maybe have a bridging figure. So you could have a real actor, like Homer Simpson we already mentioned, right? Imagine Homer Simpson. I used him for learning the hiragana in Japanese. I just followed him around this journey, and he helped me trigger the sound of each of those characters and remember what the characters look like so I could draw them out, right? So for example, let's say you got a short list of German words like bockisch and dunkel and weich, beautiful words. To get started with memorizing this German vocabulary, you could imagine a character like James Bond, and he's in your bedroom in the corner there. And bockisch means stubborn, so you could see Bond stubbornly whipping this block of ice with licorice, right? And if you take a few seconds to exaggerate this weird image, which is coded to sound like the word's supposed to sound, it gets really hard to shake from your mind. But of course, you need to create the image yourself, because James Bond might not mean anything to you. But this Bond, bah, and then licorice, bockisch, and the block of ice, blockish. This is what I'm doing. I'm making a mathematical construct in my mind that I trigger back later. And the more exaggerated it is, the more it has action and, think about what it looks like, think about the colors. Don't worry about seeing it, just think about the description. It's really uncomplicated. And you're just reading a mnemonic that you've created in your mind, and you're triggering it so that you can think, what was that? James Bond, he was a block, ice, bockish, and he was doing it what? Stubbornly, right? Now take James Bond to your kitchen. You've got a basketball net there, and he's doing a slam dunk through the hoop. And if you see the hoop as this dark black hole, well, dunk hole. It's just dunkel is dark. Weich in German. Now James Bond is leading himself out of the home, and he's got this soft and furry vice, and he's just doing all this weird stuff that you come up with. I'm going to let you come up with these examples too, but this is what you do again and again and again, and you think about it. Listening to the mnemonics of other people is not usually that useful. You've got to learn the code. You've got to learn the formulas, and you want to avoid getting stalled by looking for other people's mnemonics. You want to find the correspondence between how your imagination works, how your home works, and the vocabulary you actually need to learn, and get in there and do it. So all that remains after you do that is rehearse the journey in your mind a sufficient number of times so that those words enter your long-term memory, the sounds and the meanings of the words. And then, remember the big 5 of language learning: reading, writing, speaking, listening, and memory. You get all of this into sentences, and you practice what you've memorized in context, and this is an amazing way to quickly learn new words and phrases. But listen, there are no magic bullets in language learning, and that's the most beautiful thing in the world. This is not cheating. This is a real tool. It's the closest thing to real magic because it's using the shortcuts that your brain actually uses anyway to learn things that you're super interested in. You're just rigging the game in your favor by using stuff you already know as part of the learning process. You already know James Bond. You already know what a block of ice is. You already know what licorice is. Put it all together to make this stupid word bockish much more interesting to you, right? And this is mental activity that will keep your brain fit, and you get to learn a language at the same time. But don't seek the shortcuts. I know that this can sound a little bit complicated, but once you learn how to do it, this little deviation that you will take learning mnemonics will help you learn a language really fast. The world has 7,000 languages, and it's worth learning at least one more of them, right? And if you'd like to learn the real secrets and all the magic formulas, it's really not a shortcut, but it is real magic. I want to teach you how to make a memory palace the right way. I've got a 4 free video course that teaches you everything, and if you want to grab it now, just head down to the description below, get the link, or go to magneticmemorymethod.com/YT. And until we speak again, enjoy all of this stuff and keep yourself magnetic.